Right, I am knackered. What a day. I'm gonna find my beer and proceed with the video. Oh god, that's good. Alright, turning around, making sure the video is the right way up. Yes, it is. Jolly good. Okay, so today we sanded off the excess sealant. Did some tar painting on bitumen painting, so basically tar paint on some cracks and stuff, and then repainted the all sections that have been leaking. TNG's all sealed. It's sealed to the floor. The windows are sealed. Same all around here. Got a let done. Did a whole bunch of sealing and whatnot up there and stuff. Got that all repainted this morning. Then we proceeded to create these little box creatures, which are looking a bit mucky at the moment because they've just had the silicone sealant put around the edge there after drilling vent holes. This I'll show you in a minute. On the inside of this one's a bunch of holes, just a sort of a rough grid pattern, if you will. So that's my intake vent, and that little box pattern covers well over twice the area of the vent and well below it, to prevent leaks. Right, going around here, we also did a little bit of bitumen tar painting along the bottom edge of the structure, just to help that what I presume is a beading issue, with water leaking back up into the frame. And here we have, again, looking pretty rough because they've been tar painted inside and out, these units, to waterproof them and then siliconed on. Hell of a job getting them on. Once we cut the holes in the wall, which I'll show you in a bit, I then bolted the units on with much bigger screws than were necessary right through the wall to sort of get them on there and give me a sense of where they are. Went round back the inside and used my shorter screws to drill and screw through the fly sheet and into the frames of these box units. So we've got one up the top there where the top vent is, and this one comes out what will be the kitchenette. So yeah, once that bogs, if I can, yeah, it's a bit of a rough edge there. Smear that off a little bit. Yeah, I'll give it a sand later. This will get all sanded a little bit lightly and then repainted with my exterior coating. The roof's also had 2 coats of the bitumen paint, which was donated to me by a buddy. Right, I'm going to put the beer down, the horror, and the camera in a second. Alrighty, got my headlamp on so we can get under the shelf. So, hell of a mess in here. We've been doing construction day, so there's my bivvy sack on the floor and stuff that usually goes up here. These are my wee light things, so another one in there. So we've got some light on the desk. That's just running off this battery at the moment. I'm just running lights and various bits and pieces off this battery to see how long it takes off full charge to discharge. And it is still giving me an indication for a little over 2/3 after a couple of days of using lights and buggering about. So I would say that my estimate of these 2 batteries giving me 3 days without sun, full lights and all the rest of it was well underestimated. I'd say now actually we're looking at a week or more, easily. Right, so I'll put my headlamp on. I don't know if we can see that well up here. Also started bogging the interior. Bogged and sanded the inside, sanded off the bog on the inside of the door. Bogging up there. Bog everywhere. Just fixing up some cracks and various bits and pieces. I haven't fully completed that. I've got to sand this stuff. Got that crack in there to do actually. Completely forgot that. Bogged the edge of the desk where it joins the bookcase. What else have we done? Right. So I used a drill to just drill like a bazillion 1 in a trillion bloody holes around the periphery of that wee circle shape, and then popped it out, sanded the inside and the out, bitumen painted the outside of it, and the edges of it and stuff. We've also done it in here in the kitchen. You can see my little mark out on the wall just sort of telling me where the frame is that I'm drilling into, and lots of those little screws there. I used lots, so I really got a lot of compression on holding that right in against the wall there to prevent leakage. And we've also, as I showed you earlier, siliconed the outside of it. Well, it's sort of acrylic sort of sealant, some sort. I need another bit up there. I need to do a bit of bogging on probably. Actually no, that's a pretty neat fit. Well, I need to bog that joint. What else? Oh, okay, so the reason we put the light on down under here. There you go. You can see where we've cut our wee series of vents. This one didn't pop right out, I just drilled a lot of holes in it. I might drill some more, I don't know. You feel a bit of a breeze coming in through there, so that's cool. Once we've got our paint out, you can see a big stain in there. So basically the bottom section of this bookshelf and the bottom shelf of it have all become waterlogged when we got our leaks, which was, you know, half expected. At some point when we do a disassembly and move this structure, I will remove those sections and replace them, or dry them out and reinforce them, or do something like that. But this section of the bookcase is now not really a super load bearing sort of a thing, so I don't really care, to be honest. That little corner section may well, depends on how long I'm here, may well rot out internally. But if we have any problems with it, once I pull this structure apart, I will simply replace it with ply or whatever else can be found. It's really not an issue for now. I'm going to continue letting it dry out. This area here where we had leaks and stuff will be the last area we interior paint in, I don't know, a few days time, I guess, because tomorrow night or Saturday morning I'm going to be shooting off to Dunedin to do New Year's with some family. So we'll be sealing this all up and buggering off. Now, last thing on my list, apart from interior paint and finishing up the exterior painting, is locks. My dad did point out that the type of slide locks I've got, if you put them on the outside of the door, it is possible, obviously I would put them in such a way that they fall to open and shit like that, so they're not going to accidentally bolt themselves, but someone could come up and bolt my door and I'd be stuck in here. I'd have to break a window or kick the rear wall out. It is actually designed for that. That's something I considered, this rear wall section here. Either of those corners, probably the larger one. Give it a good solid boot and you can get out through there. But we'd obviously rather not do that. But that's our emergency protocol, or break a window. So yeah, that's something that normally when you build structures to code, they are actually required to have multiple entrances. When we look at stage 2 and do our sliding roof or something like that, we might be looking at a roof exit, just for safety purposes. I mean, I've had a nightmare a couple of times where I had a structure like this and there was an earthquake and it rolled over on the door side, and then began to sink into the liquefaction that usually happens when you're on dirt like this in an earthquake, and I couldn't get out because the door's the only way out at the moment, which is why I built this structure the way I did, with slightly less than industrial bolts holding the wall in and lots of them. It is possible to boot the ceiling out, boot a wall out, or, you know, just kick your way out of here from whichever way is up if it goes over. But again, we'd prefer not to have to destroy our structure just to get out of here, especially if it wasn't like a total emergency. So up in that corner there somewhere, we'll probably have a roof hatch, just because that'd be fucking cool anyway. You can sit out on the roof and have a drink. So yeah, things are going well. I'm pretty confident that the sealant I put into the windows and so forth, in bog and tar paint and various other layers and layers and layers of waterproofing and stuff, should have resolved our leak issues, but that remains to be seen next time it rains. I do have a little spare sealant and various other bits and pieces left, if those issues are still a problem. I've got a door to fit a little bit better by sanding out a little bit of section at the bottom there, so it just pops shut now without jamming, I hope. Oh no, it's still jamming. Okay, well, a little more sanding on the door and on that bottom section there to get it to fit better and stuff, but at the moment the slight jam it's got to it is actually quite useful, because I'll just slam it on my way in and that holds it shut at night. But at night I have still been, up until today, more beer, God, more beer, so tired. Oh, fucking nectar of the gods. I have been just sleeping with the door open because it's not that cold, and the equipment I have down here that I used to use to sleep out with will allow me to crash outside in -2, -3, -4, or in fact if I zip up that Gore-Tex bivy bag I can sleep underwater. because that's what $1,000 bivvy bag will do for you. Cheers, Uncle, for giving me that. Oh yeah, and the last bit with those vents. The reason we cut the hole the way we did is, here are my cool little USB fans I bought. They usually have a grill on the front, just over there by Buddha. So I've unscrewed the front grill, and I measured around the outside of that, the back grill, and the wee holes that are in it. And the idea is that basically, haven't tried this yet, let's go have a look. That should just pop. Yep, there you go. Pop on there. So I'll do a little bit more modification, get them all set up, and then bolt them into the wall like so once we've done our painting, and ensure the wiring's a quick around to blow air out. It should be, because that's the front of the fan that's now poking inside the vent system. Then we switch on the back there, and we tested them out the other day. They've just got a USB cable running off, so yep, we'll run wiry USB bits from there, and from there with the fans in all the way back over to here where our batteries are. And our lower vent doesn't have a fan. I didn't bother with that. I don't think I need an intake fan, so basically I have 1 or 2 fans blowing air out. That will create a natural degree of a little vacuum, and suck in air in through that bottom vent down there, if in fact the door is not open. So that means that I can now install my wee gas cooker and put it in here directly underneath that vent, and then we only run that. I'll set up the light for the kitchen up in there somewhere. And I will most likely permanently switch that vent on, wire it into the light, so that when I turn the light on for the kitchen, it turns the vent on as well, so you don't even have to remember it. And that way I can run a wee gas cooker in here, and store some, pots and pans there. Obviously food underneath with some of my toiletries at the moment, but yeah, that's the basic idea. Just to be on the safe side, at least initially, we will run that only with the door open as well. So we're sucking air out there, or gas, or any leakage or any issues out there. And we've got the door wide bloody open anyway. I'm within a metre and a half of a huge open door, so I don't think we'll have any issues with poisoning myself to death or anything. My dad did point out the other day that in his country, at least where he is in Scotland, CO2 detectors are cheap. I pointed out to him that despite this being a small structure, I'm installing vents there, which I've now done. So I'm no longer worried about CO2, my exhaled air, that would be carbon dioxide. What I am worried about potentially while running a fuel-based stove system, or any alcohol stoves I may use in this lower section here by the vents for heating purposes in the winter, is carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide is odorless, and though in theory early onset carbon monoxide issues you will notice due to dry eyes, dry mouth, itchiness on the skin and stuff like that, generally people don't notice it. That's how people gas themselves to death with their car. It's carbon monoxide poisoning. The actual death process itself, once it takes hold, is painful and unpleasant. You bleed internally in your lungs, and bad things happen, and you choke to death on not air. And don't kill yourself that way. Hey, just don't kill yourself. That's a cool idea. I certainly don't want to try to in here. So what I said to my dad was, by all means, have a look and see if you've actually got CO detectors in Scotland that are cheap. That's carbon monoxide. And I'm going to have a look around New Zealand, the hardware stores and stuff, and see if we have them. They're not really that common here. In America, I've seen a lot of people talk about, having radon detectors and CO2 and CO3 detectors and smoke alarms, and they look like a little smoke alarm. Basically, should be battery operated. There's a bird over there. Hello, bird. I buried one of your little friends just over there under that tree because he died. Sorry about that. I did try to keep him alive. That was a funny story. So in the continuing process of me apparently not getting on very well with the local baby wildlife, I went outside for a smoke up the front of the house the other night, stepped off the edge of this step and stood on a hedgehog. By hell it hurt. I stood on him quite hard, so I had to pull a bunch of quills out my foot. Then I looked down looking around for the wee bugger, and I discovered it's a baby hedgehog. It was less than the size of my fist. I was like, oh my god, that's terrible. But I gave him a poke and he twitched. And he looked at me funny, and he's balled up and stuff. He looked like he wasn't having too much trouble. There was no fluids leaking out of him or anything, so I left him to it, and then went back later, and he'd moved on, and there was no goop on the ground or anything. So I don't think I squashed him, but I stood on him quite hard, and I got some quills in the foot for my trouble. So yeah, and it wasn't even a case of not looking where I'm going. I mean, I couldn't see. It was outside in the dark. I'm smoking a cigarette. That kind of spoils your night vision. And I just stepped off the edge of his step into the darkness below the step, and he was right up against it, just sitting there. dumb place. Hopefully he'll learn. So anyway, back to gas. Yeah, so that's our only remaining concern. And obviously, you know, just with sanding and painting and doing all kinds of things in here now, I've got some ventilation, and it's actually active ventilation once I install those fans and power them up. And yeah, that'll just keep things a little bit safer. And obviously, it's already not quite so close and hot as it is in the upper section up here. As soon as I got those vents, and I really felt the air start flowing through and whatnot, so that's cool. So remaining things on my list, apart from internal painting and, you know, making it look pretty and putting my carpet in, I've got to install my solar panels. I've cut a bit of a bodgy little extra hole above the thing there to feed the cables through, because the cables will feed off the solar array up the inside of that vent and through the wee hole there above the fan. And then along the roof and back over to the batteries. So yeah, I've done a couple of sketches over there in the book. I'm just sort of having a bit of a fiddle about with how I want to frame the two panels together and set them up so that I can adjust not their horizontal angle to sun. Basically, I've placed the house pointing pretty much where I want it in that direction. But we've adjusted where we're going to put need to adjust the vertical angle. Anyway, my battery's about to run out, so I better stop. So we'll cover solar panel installation in another video. So yes, cheers, have a good one, team.